Sartorial by Penhaligon's is a men's fragrance that I adore smelling on women. Specifically, the woman being my friend Georgie, who wears it beautifully. Every time she wears Sartorial, people approach her and they demand to know why she is mesmerizing them. What is this power she has? What is this beautiful aroma that is exuding from her person? Well, the beautiful aroma is Sartorial. And it is made by, it comes from Penhaligon's and is created by Bertrand Duchefort, who does a lot of perfumes for them and many of my favorite fragrances. And he was inspired by the smell of a Savile Row tailor's. Savile Row is a very famous street in London that traditionally has a lot of bespoke tailors. And I guess if you wanted to sum up the smell of what would a tailor smell like? You have the steam coming from an iron, you have the very slightly vanilla scented pattern paper, there's leather, there's probably the smell of a lot of people working in an enclosed space, and certainly Sartorial has that. It has one of the most interesting qualities of it for me is it does have the smell of a lot of people, bodies, not bad smelling bodies, just human bodies pushed together in a room. So it does also have the traditional masculine elements of these fresh aromatic balsams and lavender. And that part is the least interesting aspect of Sartorial for me. In fact, when you first smell it, you might think, what's the big whoop? It's freshy fresh, that's nice, it's generic, so what? Then it starts to rev up on the skin and it gets more interesting, more involving. It has, there's a beeswax element, which is also a tip of the hat to what goes down in the Savile Row tailor, because I guess you have the waxed thread, the beeswax thread. So they've thrown in kind of a honey smell, a beeswaxy smell, and it's musky, there's leather, it's very beaten up, worn in smelling, very faded. It's not a crisp, loud smell, it's a very plush, soft, deep, rich smell, like it's been stewing on your skin for a while. And I really love that. I don't know how they do that. How do they do that with a fragrance? There's woods in there, there's myrrh, there's patchouli, so it's very deep for that reason, and there's cardamom in there, so there's a little bit of spiciness as well. This thing lingers beautifully, it has a real presence, it hovers around you great, and one funny thing about it was I was wearing it in London recently, and I was passing by this old traditional umbrella store called James Smith and Sons, and the store's been there since 1830, and I've never been in it, always wanted to go in. I thought, today's the day, I'm going to go in and check out these umbrellas. And the thing that's so great about it is on the outside of the store it says, in addition to the umbrellas, it sells town canes, country canes, sword sticks. Oh, those crazy limeys with their sword sticks, always ready for a fight. Oh, and dagger canes. Sounds positively James Bond. So I went into the umbrella store, and the smell that hit me when I walked in reminded me of Sartorial. And it really was because it was the smell of these older men who work in there, and they're all freshly cologned up. And then there's the smell of the leather chairs that they've sat in for decades and decades and decades. And then there's the smell of the freshly polished canes and sword sticks, and the waxed wooden surfaces of this old ye oldie worldy store. And it definitely has that whole atmosphere of Sartorial. It smells so good on the skin. I would love to smell it in the theater. I think of it as a going to the theater kind of fragrance, because you're in this fancy room, it's all velvet covered, and people are all freshly groomed, and they're sizzling with anticipation for what they're going to see on the stage. So I think of Sartorial as a fragrance that is almost has that theatrical anticipation, and it's also very oldie worldy, and it's very sensual. It has all of that going on. It's a perfume that if a man were to wear it, and a man should wear it, I think. It's very masculine, and if a woman wears it, it's very like she has a secret. She has a secret, and she knows something that you don't know. It's a good way to be. I'm Katie Puckrik, and I smell.
Trisha wears number 5, but you don't wear no